Spoiler alert right off the bat. Personally, I think this movie is best viewed by going into it knowing as little as possible. Plus, I'm gonna be talking about the movie like you've seen it anyways, so go away and never ever come back. I'm just gonna come out and say it. If you didn't like Everything Everywhere All at Once, you are wrong. And I know what you're thinking to yourself. You're thinking, why would you come right out of the gate with such a polarizing statement? Don't you realize that people are gonna just instantly dislike the video and leave you an insulting comment? Listen, I know, I'm taking a massive risk here being so forthright, but for the life of me, I cannot understand how anyone can come away from this movie thinking that it's bad. And yet, here we are. Oh, no doubt I thoroughly enjoyed it in another universe. A 2 out of 5? What the fuck, Matthew? Okay, let me take a breath here. Hopefully it's obvious that I'm being over the top for the fun of it. Don't be offended, Matthew. We can all have our different opinions. You're doing great, and I really love how round your skull is. In all seriousness, though, the moment I had a few seconds to digest what I had seen with this movie, the phrase, "there's a little something for everyone," popped into my head. Except it would be much more fitting to say that there's a lot of something for everyone. It's extremely hard to categorize this movie into one genre, but that's just because they do such an excellent job of balancing different themes and styles. Do you like action? Because the fighting scenes in this movie are a spectacle. The choreography and the creative way that people fight keep the action scenes fresh and snappy. Do you like sci-fi? Because the whole movie is based around the multiverse and being able to pull the consciousness of alternate versions of yourself to your reality in order to use their abilities. Do you like comedy? Because the absurdity throughout the film never failed to catch me off guard. There would be little funny moments between characters' reactions, but there would also be things over the top, like a Ratatouille reference except replaced by a raccoon that was voiced by Randy Newman, or an entire fight scene based around the bad guys desperately trying to shove things up their own ass to unlock their alternate reality skills. Do you like drama? Because there are sentimental moments that I will admit brought me to tears a few times. There are moments that are emotionally jarring, frustrating, but also heartwarming. Of course, the movie wasn't every single genre thrown into one. Making the argument that it was a musical because of a few lines being sang randomly, or it being a horror movie because Jobu Tupaki made a man's head explode into confetti would be pretty silly. However, the genres that they did focus on each felt like they were given excellent attention. Personally, I don't think it's easy to balance different tones and storytelling. Have you watched a rom-com recently? Because I have, and it felt like torture. They always seem to have a third act dilemma that conveniently pops up to serve as drama for the couple to overcome before they live happily ever after. To me, that conflict always feels contrived and superficial, forced into the story in order to give their shallow romance some kind of genuine meaning. In Everything Everywhere All at Once, it starts with mundane problems sprouted up between the family members. Wayman secretly wants a divorce, Joy is heartbroken her mother hides the fact that she's gay from Gong Gong, Evelyn's father, and Gong Gong is really old. At first glance, these issues seem to just be establishing how things are currently difficult and chaotic for our main characters. But in reality, all of these things are the real issues of the story. They're just layered under the frosting of multidimensional stakes. The danger of the universe being completely destroyed stems from the fact that Evelyn, albeit in a different universe, was so hard on Joy that it broke her mind completely. In my opinion, she was hard on Joy due to her stressed relationship with her own father, even going so far to say that she is no longer willing to do to my daughter what you did to me. All of these issues are resolved one by one. Evelyn sees that her husband has been desperate for her attention and that he's not weak because he's kind and goofy, but rather that's how he deals with the issues of the world. She stands up to her father, telling him that she doesn't need his approval or pride because she is proud of herself. Lastly, Evelyn is no longer ashamed of her daughter for being gay and chases after her despite the fact that they are constantly butting heads. However, by this time, Joy has become calloused, believing that nothing truly matters and wanting to drift off into the metaphorical and literal void of nothingness. She's defiant towards Evelyn trying to make amends. Evelyn, having her mind open to the reality of how tiny they are as individuals and truly seeing how nothing really matters, still pleads that even throughout all the meaninglessness, they can find purpose in their family and relationships. Personally, I think that it's an overall touching message that even amidst chaos, meaning can be found in the ones that we love. Remember, this is the same movie as Rakakuni and Butt Plugs. Speaking of which, this is where I feel most people probably have a problem with the movie. Throughout the emotional scenes, they would shift gears back to something comical. It truly felt like tonal whiplash, which in my opinion was amazing. I would go from tearing up over a heartfelt monologue to nearly choking from laughter over Evelyn wiping Jamie Lee Curtis's tears away with her toes, because in that universe they had hot dogs for fingers. For some people, I can understand that this movie may be too much too fast. You really have to do your best as a viewer to keep up. This, paired with the fact that the characters switched between English and Mandarin mid-sentence constantly, made me feel like I was always having to be on top of the ball so I wouldn't miss anything. I still missed things, of course, and picked up a lot more on my second viewing. Some viewers may feel exhausted after seeing this movie, but for me, that's exactly what made it feel so special. It shifted gears so quickly, jerked back and forth, it really felt like a thrill ride that gave the chaotic nature of the movie so much more life. I've gone on and on about the things that I truly loved about this movie, and I didn't even mention the amazing performances of the actors, the clever way that shots were directed and framed, or the extremely unique soundtrack that brought so much life to each scene. Because for me, it felt like it was just one step above that with just its story alone. I know I started off this video claiming that if you didn't like the movie, you're wrong. I get that some people will walk away from this movie either underwhelmed or perhaps not as quick to praise it as I was, but I genuinely can't understand why anyone would say that this is a bad movie. However, I'd like to think I'm a pretty open-minded guy, so if you have different opinions, feel free to share them down below and help me see your perspective over it. If you did enjoy the movie as much as I did, but I didn't cover one of your favorite things here, share that below as well. This is my first time doing a video over a movie, so I'm pretty new to all this. I appreciate you taking the time to watch and hopefully you enjoyed it. Peace out.